With the prevailing quarantine curfew extended until the 6th of next month, the Sri Lankan people and the country's economy are facing the same situation: survival. While those partial towards the lockdown want it extended further on health grounds in the backdrop of the pandemic, its detractors can't wait for it to end. On one hand, the economy is losing billions of rupees for each day the lockdown is in place, and on the other hand, approximately 4.5 million daily wage earners in the country are wondering how they will make ends meet. Given the strife of this section of society, which accounts for almost 20% of the country's population, Professor Emeritus of Sociology Siri Hettige believes that a fresher approach might be needed moving ahead, especially with the current state of public finances, making it an uphill task for the government to look after the welfare of that segment of society by itself.
This lockdown is not going to impact everybody equally. There are certain segments of society that would be very adversely affected. And I think here we are talking about the informal sector workers, then the poor people and so on. These people will not be able to really meet their basic needs if they have to go through a prolonged lockdown unless some measures are taken to really cushion them. But on the other hand, it is quite clear now that the public finances do not really permit the government to really respond to this in an adequate manner.
Professor Hettige adds that instead of piecemeal measures, a whole-of-country effort is the right approach, involving the mobilization of the many stakeholders in society, including civil society, corporates, philanthropists, and even international agencies.
I think it is a national effort that is required. It is not a piecemeal interventions from different people in different places. What I feel is that there are segments of society that can really show their solidarity. This lockdown is not for a very long period, and it may be for a few weeks or it may be a month or so. But during that short period, we need to really mobilize society to really respond to this big socio-economic issue. We have the capacity to take care of the most vulnerable people in this country, but we are not mobilizing. That's the only problem.
In conclusion, Professor Hettige says that it comes down to simple mathematics in the end, where he sees no issue with the ability of the country's more affluent members of society in shouldering the burden of the country's most vulnerable for just over a month, or at most 2.
I did a simple calculation. If you take the lower 20% of the population, which is the most vulnerable, and if you take the upper 20% of the population, which is the most affluent, we are basically talking about 1 million households being in a position to support 1 million households. You see, that's as simple as that. So, like say, if you have to give 10,000 rupees a month, so if you are a very wealthy person, what is 10,000 rupees? If the upper 20% of the population cannot take care of that lower 20% for 1 month, then then there's no chance.